I didn't rape nobody. And he said, and he says, Kendrick, do it up. We order him fish tanks and designers come in and hook it all up and TV experiences. But now you're on guard. And I remember we sat down and he said, but he told me he ate it up. And so yeah, so in your heart, you knew everything was gonna be how it was supposed to be, but there's always nervousness. When you drop an album, you don't know what's gonna happen, and that shit was the biggest record ever.
So at one point, when you guys were separated, you were in jail, and Tupac was in New York, and he was accused of, I don't know if it was quite rape, or it might have been, there was another word for it, but they called it a sexual assault.
Sexual assault. I remember.
Did he ever ask you about, or did he ever talk to you about this?
Actually, it came up when I went out to LA, finally caught up with him, and when he was giving me the speech about I got to talk to Suge and that he's the star now, I asked him about it. I'm like, what the fuck's up with that? And he broke down. He said, I'm about to tell you. He said, first of all, I didn't rape nobody. And he told me about the situation. He had met this girl at the club or whatever. She was doing crazy stuff. And
did he mention that she went down on him on the dance floor or anything?
I heard that later. He didn't even mention that part in the story telling me, because me and him had so many encounters with women that I already knew what happened. When he says it went down, it went down. And I knew who he was talking about just by how he described it, you know. And he said, I didn't rape nobody. And he said, went back to the hotel he was staying, and cats were out in another room doing something. I don't know if they were playing video games, hanging out or whatever. He had sex with her. He said they did all kinds of stuff. And he fell asleep. He went to sleep. When he woke up, she was in another room having fun with a couple other guys. And she was doing stuff, and I guess he walked in and saw it. And she felt uncomfortable at that point. And whatever, I don't know how it finished up or whatever.
So they were having sex with her?
They were having sex with her.
How many dudes was it?
I don't know. I know it was at least 2. Because I know that much.
Did Tupac like her? Because they had kind of been dating a few times, from what I understand, or they'd seen each other a few times.
I think if he liked her, he wouldn't have fell asleep. He wouldn't have probably even had nobody else around, you know? She probably was what we used to call a toss-up.
Okay.
Not to say anything bad about this woman. I don't know her. But he told me she was a toss-up. Anyway, they had sex. Then the other guys had sex. And this type of thing wasn't so uncommon with girls like that, promiscuous girls. Promiscuous girls are a dime a dozen, and they came around. And they knew how to say yes, and they knew how to say no, but mostly they knew how to say yes. And he saw her with these guys, and it was nothing new. The way he explained it, it was nothing I hadn't seen before. And, you know, sometimes what you do comes out. Like if you're a freak, sometimes you're a freak, and you do this type of things. You're embarrassed by it, you know. People will listen to your story, especially if it's Tupac. But, you know, when everybody was done, she asked him to walk her to the limo or wherever, cab, to go home, and I think he refused. You know, he was like, you know, I think he was kind of like, for him, sometimes he wants to feel like he's the greatest guy, like the girl or toss-up or whatever you want to call her, tramp, won't sleep with anybody else. But that's what they do. I'm not saying all women do that, but some women do. And he loses interest, you know, after that. And she probably felt that, and he didn't walk her down thing. And next thing you know, she's called for rape. But he told me, looked me in the eye and said he didn't rape anyone. And I believed him. So, yeah, forget what she says.
What was the effects of him from this? Did he ever talk about that?
Oh yeah, he did. It burnt him, you know. Part of when you're coming up, part of when you're successful, is you have woman attention. Some women are great, some are not so great, but the attention is great, and you kind of open yourself up because you're having all these rock star experiences, but now you're on guard. And I remember we sat down, and he says, "You know what? My lawyer wants you to have girls sign a contract." I had a contract, a sex contract, that Tupac was to have women he had sex with sign. And I saw him with women. I saw him meet women. I've seen him date women, play with women, have fun with women, go out to dinner with women, have sex with women. And he says, they are telling me I need to have them sign this agreement. And he says, I can't. That takes all the fun out. It's like, if some girl is signing that she's having sex and I'm signing and it's all consensual, there's no fun in that. So he just abandoned that contract and he went on doing what he was doing. And he was never accused of rape again, but he was still the same guy. The women loved him. They went from hating him when he was a kid, not hating him, but avoiding him, to loving him. I've seen girls that wouldn't even talk to him when he was younger, or all over, stumbling over their words. What does two want to do? What is two? When did his name become Two? It's Tupac. It's like, oh, they would just turn into something else. I'm like, it's crazy. And that was the one thing he said. I think he even said it on the record. He says, when I got fame, I didn't change. You motherfuckers changed. And that was the realest thing, to see people go from trying to kick him underneath a car to trying to give him a car. It was crazy, all because of where the billboards put him, charts, movies. People changed.
Was he more on his guard with women? Did you ever see how he handled it differently?
No.
No,
no
he
way.
just said, fuck it, I'm just going to be me.
He was more of himself. Like, as far as women goes, fame makes you more of yourself. Money makes you more of who you are. He, after All Eyes on Me dropped, he was a megastar now. He'd been on the news for all kinds of stuff. They're trying to discredit him, but he's bursting out of the mold like we've never seen before. They didn't even know how to broadcast him on the news. He'd take over the interview. And celebrities, I saw him at the studio leave with major celebrities and go hump.
Anybody you can mention?
It was them wanting him. He didn't have to say much. Let's drink this and let's go. It wasn't like he had to talk anybody out of anything. It was never that. It was like they were happy to be around him.
I interviewed Reggie Wright Jr.
Reggie.
And he had mentioned a time when Tupac picked Mary J up.
Ooh.
Were you around during that time?